Okay, started. So where we had come for in a situation wherein we were talking about the entropy coding and the systematic method for entropy coding. As regards to systematic method for entropy coding, there are two very well known things. Methods are there, Shannon coding and Huffman coding. But before that, we shall take a simple example which will give rise for some alternative thinking. And that example is like this: I have an experiment wherein it results in two outcomes S0 and S1. Right? S0 and S1, and the probability distribution is such that P of S0 is equal to 0.9, or let us say 0.8, and P of S1 is 0.2. Is it recorded? Yes. Now, the problem here is we have to use variable length encoding. Now the question here, can we compute the entropy now? Entropy here, what it would be approximately if you have a calculator? What would be entropy? Anybody has got calculator? Yeah, no? You can just compute. The entropy could be very small, maybe in the range of quarter bit or so, or maybe 0.3 at the max 0.4 bits. What it is? What is log of 0.2 to the base 2? You need to compute whether calculator has got a log to the base 2 or whether calculator using division. So it will come definitely somewhat less than 1 bits, much more less rather. It will be much more less bits. Now, if the question is asked, what it is? 0.70. Oh, it has come 0.70. Okay, 0.70, maybe somewhat more as we expected offhand, but it is much less than 1. Now, what coding you will go for? The concept was to go for variable length coding. To go for variable length coding. So, how will you go for variable length coding now? Do you find some way? How many symbols are there? How many outcomes are there? 2. In variable length coding can save something, but the problem now here is that we cannot have a code word with less than 1 bits. So there is no way with me. So this will have a code as 0, this will have a code as 1. So this is having a code word length L0 equal to 0. This will be having code word length L equal to 1. So average code length is 1 bit. Average code length is 1 bit, and whatever may be the algorithm I use, that algorithm will not apply if the number of symbols to be encoded are 2, because in that case minimum code length is to be 1. Therefore now this can be only resolved if we go for group encoding. That is, we do not encode the outcome of a single experiment. We go for grouping the outcomes of 2 consecutive experiments. We go for grouping the outcomes of 2 consecutive experiments. And when we go for OR, it is called as we extend the source. The theme is extension of discrete memory source, wherein two experiments are encoded jointly. So those are, when I encode two experiments jointly, each is having two outcomes. So S square, I encode S square, and it may have four outcomes: 0, 0, first 0, second 0, means S0, 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 S1, S1, S0, and S1, S1. So S square is having encoding like this: S0, 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 S1, S1, S0, S1, S1. And now the probabilities are 0.64, then S0, S1 is 0.16, 0.16, and 0.14. You can go for 3 also. You can go for 3 also. So in that case, you will be getting 8, and again you will be having a further distribution, right? So this means one thing is quite clear, that the very concept of variable length codes cannot be applied if there are two outcomes, because minimum code per length is 1. So once that criteria is fulfilled, we can proceed. So in general, the Huffman coding is very simple. It provides me a very structured approach. And the structure approach results into such thing. I have got some outcomes with various probabilities. So I arrange, the thing is very simple. I arrange the outcomes in the descending order of their probability. Let us take an experiment when S0, S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. I deliberately, since it is in my hand, to choose which has to number what is 0, what is 1. So I have chosen that those are in the descending order only. So I have one which is having probability of 0.7 or 0.6. I will choose simple one. So 0.3, 0.2, 0.25, 0.2, 0.15, 0.10, what it comes to be 55, 75, and it will become 100. So I will reduce in this way. 0.25, 0.20, 0.15, 0.10, 0.05. So this is 45 plus 50 is 60, 70, 75. So I will this totals one 45, 60, 90, and 10. Right? Okay. So this I want to encode. I have got 6 symbols which to encode. So the thing is very simple. For large probability, smaller than code, and vice versa. But ultimately, I may have 1 1-bit code, 1 2-bit code, 2 3-bit codes, or I may have 2 2-bit codes, 2 3-bit codes. How it emerges depends upon what is the exact distribution. So the sequence here is very simple. Arrange in descending order, and add the load. It adds up to 0.25. Means load 2 are jointly coded. Yes, jointly coded. When I code it jointly by using a single symbol, that is a group symbol. So for subgroup, I need one more bit. It is very much certain that each subgroup will need one more bit. So I have grouped 6 events into 5 events. So S4 plus S5 is one event outcome. S4 plus S5 is one outcome. So by grouping it, I again rearrange. in this rearranging, now there is a confusion whether 0.5 I should put above or below. Whether 0.5 I should keep above or I should keep below. So I have to follow some convention. I have to follow some convention when I am getting the things equally. And I follow that the rearrange goes at the toppest possible position. The rule is descending order and the rearranged term goes at the toppest possible position. So the ambiguity is solved. If this is not followed, what will happen? That you can make an exercise in we get the bottommost possible position. So it is having this 0.5 is set towards the top, 0.25. Sorry, 0.25, and this now will move to 0.25. Then this will move to 0.20. This will move 0.20, and this will move 0.20. So each is displaced. I show arrows because they show any confusion that. Then I put these two, and that will naturally move at the top. No ambiguity now. That is 0.3 or 0.30. Then this moves to 0.25. This is this 0.25. This is this 0.25. Correct? Now these two act. It's very simple. This is point. This adds to 0.45 and move at the top. 0.45. This moves here. 0.30. This moves here. 0.25. This moves at the top. It's 0.55. It moves as 0.55 and it moves as 0.55. And the thing is very simple. I go on encoding this as 0 and this as 1. Top 0, bottom 1. Right? So this one goes back because it is no splitting. This 0 comes here. So I give this 0, this 1. This 0, this 1. This 0, this 1. And this 0, this 1. So, how can I prepare the codes now? This 1. This is the most significant bit. I start with this is the most significant bit. So, this one is carried. Right? So, this one is carried here. So, it is like this. So, what this will become? So, I hope that can complete the course now with this chart. With this chart, how can you complete the course? What is the code of this S0? What is the code of this S0? We have just see how it has traveled. It has traveled to here, to here, to here, then here, and here. So it has traveled. In track, you just collect the bits in travel. You just collect the bits in travel from this state. 1, which will collect 0 and no more. And so 1 0. Right? Now this, how many travel? It is 1. Correct? Now for C, for this now 0, 0 and 0. Correct? Then for this
0 0.
it is
0 0.
for this 0
1 0.
1
0.
what? right? Okay, or something more.
0 1.
How this no? This is travel
0
1. Yes, correct. And for this 0 1 1, correct? 0 1 1. So I got two 2-bit codes and 4 3-bit codes. And what is the average code length now? Average code length is average code length is 2.55. Average code length is 2.55. Right? 0.25 to 2, 0.20 to 2, 0.15 to 3, and so on. Average code length is 2.55. You can compute the entropy and check what is the efficiency of this code. What Shannon Hammer does? In Shannon Hammer coding, what do you do? In Shannon Hammer we arrange, then what?
Sum.
No, it is half one. In Shannon Hammer
Divided.
we try to divide into equal halves. We are dividing into equal halves, and like that. So I hope that this basically the information regarding or the discussion regarding uncertainty, information, entropy, and channel coding in an optimized manner so as to have good efficiency. All these 4 things are quite simple. We do have, they flow in a systematic manner. No new challenges are there in their learning. It is once means the subject is mathematical in nature, but in mathematical subject also the challenges vary. So as regards to this up to channel coding, up to source coding, I consider this to be a straightforward mathematical application. It's straightforward. The challenges are less. Now we proceed for the concept of channel, the properties of a channel. In a practical situation where error is a major area of concern, around these things are revolving now, then use of the channel and channel encoding. So from all these aspects, we proceed for a concept of a channel. The experiment takes place, its outcome is available, the result is to be transmitted, and based on the information received there, so for the observer concludes that this was the result happened. It is actually an estimate. For example, suppose if there is a big coin tossing, the coin is not small, a very big coin, and with the help of satellite, we can give just an example. From satellite, you should be able to decode here or there. From satellite image, you have to encode its here or there, and there is a blurring, so it is not possible for you to easily decode it here or there. But you can have image processing software, but that software doesn't give you guaranteed result. But you say that yes, that is the, it may be the head or it may be the tail. So what I can say, for or why we go for satellite? From a very long distance, I may conclude correctly or I may conclude wrongly. Or there may be some alphabets. There may be some confusion between different alphabets. Or number 9 and P or Q. Number 9 and Q, there may be some confusion. Right? Like that. So it may be a digital communication in the conventional electrical application, like you transmit the square wave, you receive there, like that. Or in any way where the information is flowing, but during that flow it is likely to corrupt, so that whatever is being received may not be exactly what was transmitted. Exact medium may be electrical, it may be direct vision, or it may be something else also. Or you may be able to distinguish based on tuning fork. There are two tuning forks which are having difference in sound. Or in the conventional telegraph, I try to encode what it is. I try to decode. So I hope that as a revision point of view, this much channel encoding is enough. So we have got a concept of source coding where an attempt is being made to represent the information generated in smallest possible bits so as to save the bandwidth during transmission. So the purpose of source coding is to optimize upon the length of data to be transmitted without making any compromise on its correctness. So we try to minimize the bits to be transmitted. That is source coding is over. Now the real question comes from now, where we will actually transmit the bits. The bits are to be received, decoded, means when those are received, there is a likelihood of error. So irrespective of what form of channel it is, whether a coin is being tossed there and I am observing from here, or I am listening something, or satellite imaging is there, or conventional electrical square wave transmission and reception is there, irrespective of anything, I am sure that everybody of you now will conclude that when a symbol 0 is transmitted in either form, it is supposed to be received at the receiver. It would be received either as 0 or as 1. For a good channel, for a perfect channel, 0 will always receive as 0. Same thing is with 1. Right now, it is in the text, it is a general case, but we shall take a specific case of binary symmetric channel, wherein two symbols are transmitted, the receiver also concludes in two symbols. Right? There may be a QPSK transmission where in a single setup you transmit 1 out of 4 combinations and you receive 1 out of 4 combinations, like that. But right now we are taking binary symmetric channels so as to impress upon the concept first. So we get a graph of probabilities. So we do have a distribution wherein the channel, because of its errors, channel because it is not perfect, leads into a 0 being transmitted is likely to be received as 0 with 90% probability. So out of 10 bits, 1 bit will go in error. When I transmit 10 bits, 1 bit will go in error. Actually, it is too bad channel that way. 10 in 1 is not good. So usually we will consider this one. So the example itself should not be too bad. Right? Is it clear now? So this is the probability distribution of transmitted symbols and received symbols. So for that purpose, we have conditional probabilities. That is, this I say as X and this I say as Y. So there are different ways with which the probabilities can be considered. The conditional probability is like this: probability of Y0 given X0 probability of y0 given x0 means what? If since just rearranging of one word from here to there changes the meaning a lot, we should be very much particular. Probability of y0 upon x0 is what? If x it is known means at this point of time I have an independent access to both. I am looking at just I am considering this as a whole for my understanding. So I am a third party observer who is having, I can see undoubtedly this, I can see undoubtedly this. So I have two perfect channels, one to the transmitter, one to the receiver. Then only I can say like this, not otherwise. So probability that x0 has happened, what would be probability of y0? Means probability with which 0 will occur at the receiver if 0 is transmitted. Y0 by x0. Correct? Is it okay now? In other words, we also have this. What can you say about this?
0 was transmitted given 0 was received.
Means this is a receiver specific probability. Means receiver has received something to be 0. Means receiver's conclusion is that I have received a bit 0. What is my confidence level with which I can say that 0 was transmitted? So probability that when 0 is being decoded by me, interpreted by me, with what probability it was transmitted 0. So it is probability of what we can say 0 being transmitted when the event has happened. That is the 0 is received by me. So 0 being received is an event happened. Are you getting me? When an event happened is what? The receiver has decoded it to be 0, that's all. It is the event which has happened. And based on that, what is the probability of 0 was transmitted or 1 was transmitted. So these are cross conditional probabilities. Cross conditional probabilities. Is it correct now? Now, there is a concept of mutual information. I think many are not there because it was covered in second or third lecture. So mutual information is very interesting to note down. I am not just in general, it is for binary channel. It is for a binary channel. It may be for a married channel also. They means I write some alphabets on the blackboard. I ask a student to be at some distance, and I ask him what is the letter written, and he will answer something. So maybe with an optician or in the eye hospital, such experiments are conducted. So what is the means when I say good vision? I see something, I usually confuse between some alphabets, which are the alphabets in which I am likely to confuse. Then I can have some alphabets and I can have some numbers. I may confuse between 9 and Q. Okay. So what is the probability when I say something to be 9? It is actually 9. So in that case, what will happen? In that case, nobody will confuse. There is one A and there is one B. A and B. You are at distance A. Do you feel that you will say A to be B? No. Why? Because we are much apart. So what I can say, probability if with respect probability that is it correct? When I say something, when the patient is saying something to be A, unless he is blind, say A for B. Right? So what in that case what happens? In that case, here is only 0 and 1, x0 and x1. So there what I have x0, x1, x2 like that. On y side, I may have y0, y1, y2 like that. This may be more. This may be more because if in my input set I do not have numbers at all, I have only q, but you may say it will be 9. So here they may be more. So you may conclude something which was never transmitted. Right? So in that case it would become a broader graph. It may become broader graph, but right now it is not important for us. You may have any reading later on. Now there is a concept of mutual information. Mutual information is very what we can say interesting thing to note down. When the original experiment is conducted, there was some uncertainty involved. When the original experiment was conducted, there was uncertainty involved. The experiment was conducted and the result of the experiment was communicated to me. Now if I see myself, where when I say I see myself, in that case I am completely confident on me. I toss a coin, I see the result. Before I see the, it's like this, I will conduct this. See, just to give you a very exact situation that I am having this, like this I have put. So before I see, there is uncertainty, right? When I see, uncertainty is completely removed. Why? What is the reason for uncertainty getting removed? No, not because experiment has happened. Result is not because the result is received. What I see? Okay, now I close my eyes. I ask you to tell me. You tell me. There is a difference. Here, I believe on my eyes fully. Means the channel is perfect. Here the channel is perfect. So after receiving data from a perfect channel, uncertainty about the experiment is completely removed. There is no uncertainty has remained. No uncertainty. Whereas, if my channel is not perfect, if I have spectacles and I see without spectacles, then it looks like to be here, but I am not sure. So what has happened now? The experiment has happened. The result is communicated. But even after communication of the result, since there is an associated probability of error in the channel, the uncertainty about the experiment is not completely resolved. Uncertainty has remained. Uncertainty has remained about the experiment. Still, what is that? And so, uncertainty in original experiment is Hx. Hx indicates the average average, right? Uncertainty of the experiment as such. Hx. Then what I do? I transmit x. I observe y. So there is a new term called as h of x given y. H of x given y. For an ideal channel, what that should be? it should be 0. H of x given y should be 0. But for a practical channel, it is having some value. So this is the uncertainty about the experiment, right? Before the channel output is observed. This is the uncertainty about the experiment after the channel output is observed. So what this would be? What this would be? What you would like to call this to be? This is the amount of uncertainty resolved by the channel. I would like to use the mother tongue because it will impress upon the complete meaning. म्हणजे एक्सपेरिमेंट करण्यापूर्वी एक्सपेरिमेंटच्या निकालाची अनिश्चितता असते. म्हणजे hx काय, किती अनिश्चितता आहे एक्सपेरिमेंट. hx गिवन y म्हणजे काय, चॅनल बघितल्यानंतर रिझल्ट चॅनल आउटपुट बघितल्यानंतर सुद्धा एक्सपेरिमेंटच्या आउटकमशी मला अनिश्चितता आहे. म्हणजे मूळ एक्सपेरिमेंट मध्ये अनिश्चितता, रिझल्ट बघितल्या नॉइझी चॅनल मधून रिझल्ट बघितल्यामुळे रिझल्ट बघितल्यानंतर सुद्धा राहणारी अनिश्चितता. मग ह्या दोन्हीची वजाबाकी काय होईल? व्हॉट दिस वुड बी? तर काय म्हणतो, चॅनल न दूर केलेली अनिश्चितता, मूळ अनिश्चितता, चॅनल बघून सुद्धा राहिलेली अनिश्चितता, आणि या दोन्ही बरोबर चॅनल न दूर केलेली अनिश्चितता. इट इज कॉल्ड एज म्युच्युअल इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द चॅनल. So IXY is mutual information of the channel. Then there are some properties of mutual information. Since today I have some other schedule, we cannot continue this extra lecture for its full duration. But tomorrow we are meeting at 8 o'clock sharp. And now what we have? But as I have already said, he has to come at 8 o'clock because he is the what we can say, videographer. And others also should not use the videography as an excuse to come late. We will meet tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and then we will also meet at the 11:59. Okay. So tomorrow we shall finish everything which was otherwise supposed to finish by last week itself. It will consolidate for those who have already attended, and it would be new information for those who have not attended. I also suppose that remaining two will also report by tomorrow. So I am sure now that all of you have read, downloaded the paper and got it out. That is the mathematical theory of communication. If not done, do it today. So we will meet tomorrow at 8 o'clock.